Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining the Bhagavad Gita class. Thank you for being part of this journey. As I said, I'm very happy that you're attending it continuously. Bhagavad Gita is a continuous text. It is not a random, thing about, just you throw in some chapters and verses and, that's not the point of Bhagavad Gita. So thank you for being part of this journey. It is a journey. And let's get started with our Mangalacharan prayers without further ado. Hi, Hare Krishna. Please come. I'll display these prayers and then we can start. Those who know in the room on Zoom, please stay muted. In the room, those who know these prayers fluently can recite along. Otherwise, that's fine. Just try to recite quietly. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. Now come two verses which are not here. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Now we continue from here. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenbandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All right. So let's get started. I will share the screen again of the slides that I'm using. Okay. So we are on chapter 5. Slideshow. Okay. Karma Yoga, or the other name that is used in many of the Bhagavad Gita texts, is Karma Sanyasa Yoga. So very, very important chapter. And today, outside of this chapter, I'm going to cover a couple of important points which will connect this whole topic of Nishkama Karma Yoga that we have been discussing for the last few weeks with the rest of the Bhagavad Gita. So today's discussion is a little important to provide sort of a big picture overview. We'll come to that in just a few minutes, or after we cover few points. All right. So before we get started, ground rules, or just some, have your Bhagavad Gitas with you. On Zoom, turn on your camera if at all possible. It's as much more personal as possible. If you are in Portland, try to be here in person. I certainly feel that I pay more attention when I'm sitting in a classroom, not a class Zoom. So room is better than Zoom, I feel. And but yes, some of you have travel issues or small children and many other constraints. So please do what is best. End goal is to derive maximum benefit from the Bhagavad Gita. So many people have told me that they've been reading Bhagavad Gita, or it's hard or cannot understand, doesn't make sense. But so far we've covered 4 chapters in the room here. How many of you would say that you're kind of getting a hang of what's being discussed? Okay, so great, very nice. So I'm trying to make it as accessible and straightforward as possible. Bhagavad Gita, and when I say I'm trying to make it accessible and straightforward, I did not mean that it is inaccessible and not straightforward. Of course, it is written in Sanskrit. Not all of us are familiar with that. Srila Prabhupada has given very nice English translations. Still, Bhagavad Gita is meant for somebody who is seriously interested in the topic and reads with focus and concentration. And like we discussed, especially in a situation of some kind of a crisis. Arjuna was in a very, very big crisis situation, not because he had to face a war. That's his left hand's job. He had defeated even bigger people previously. So this war was not the point. The point was who he was fighting against. And he was just completely shattered by that thought. And so we face our little wars in our life. And Lord Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna at his level. So we have to come down at our level, but luckily our problems are also smaller than Arjuna's. Nobody here is being compelled to, shoot arrows or bullets at your near and dear ones. But we all face issues, so many things, our parents are living away, and then, should we go back and take care of them, or should we stay here? That kind of issue comes closer to home, what to do with our loved ones, so to say. So those who are in some kind of a crisis situation, things go in. And analogy is, on the last day before the exam, it all makes sense, isn't it? When you take out the textbook and start reading, oh my God, had I read this, throughout the semester, it would have made more sense. But on the last day, because you're in a crisis, tomorrow is the exam, so you open the textbook and it all suddenly makes sense. So, if there is no crisis, which should be, it's a good thing. I pray that there is no crisis ever in your life. But to understand Bhagavad Gita, manufacture some small crisis. Imagine yourself to be in a crisis. Look at around you. People are in crisis situations. Just a couple of days back, one of our very good friends, they have to undergo some chemotherapy and this and that. We came to know, well, if it could happen to them, it could happen to me any day. So, better to learn this knowledge and use it in our life to make ourselves successful, you can say, or strong, as quickly as possible. Don't delay. So Lord Krishna is giving it in a fairly simple manner. Try to understand it. Lord Krishna is trying to teach us Bhagavad Gita. He wants us to understand it. He will not make it complicated. If you are trying to teach your child math, you will not speak to him in a coded or a complicated language. You will try to speak to him as simply as possible. The goal being he should understand, not to show how smart you are. Teacher never tries to do that. So Lord Krishna is trying to already make it very simple. And here we are trying to make it even more accessible and simple. So it's not hard. It requires just some focus. So chapter 5 is the culmination. It is the ending of Nishkama Karma Yoga section. Okay, which started in chapter 2. And Lord Krishna just built up the whole thing with Karma Yoga, then Karma Yoga with Jnana in chapter 4. So Karma Yoga in chapter 3 with Jnana of Karma. Chapter 2, he talked about Atma Jnana. Now in chapter 4, he is talking about Karma Jnana, knowledge about how karma works. And that's those 3 seminal verses about karma, vikarma, and akarma. 3 types of karma. And mainly the point was, the focus was on akarma, which is no different than Nishkama Karma. Doing work with zero attachment to results. Do your work, but don't be attached to the results. With full commitment. Do your work with full commitment, but no attachment to results. And there were many reasons that Lord Krishna gives for this. Okay, one is that the results bind us. And the second reason is we don't have any claim on the results either, because we are not the only producer of results. So many things go into producing the result. How can we claim all the credit? And many other reasons. But the biggest reason is spiritual progress. The more we claim credit on the results, we get entangled, we get bound. Spiritual progress is all about disentangling ourselves from this material bondage. That is called moksha. Moksha from what? Moksha has to be from something, you know. If you have a bad neighbor and he moves away or you move away, that's moksha from the neighbor. So when we say moksha, moksha mil gaya, kis cheez se moksha mila? From what? It is from this material world, which means cycle of birth and death. That can be one of the consequences of being entangled in this world. And temporariness, duality. Sometimes happy, sometimes sad. Somebody loves us, somebody hates us. All kinds of duality. So moksha from all of that, and then going into the supremely happy place, which is the spiritual world. So spiritual progress is the goal of Nishkama Karma Yoga. So again, the point being that we do it in the 4th chapter. What we discussed was doing the work with the knowledge of why we are doing it. Doing the work means doing it in a Nishkama Karma Yoga mode, with that mentality. I'm doing my work with full commitment, but I have nothing to do with the results. Now that is hard. It is hard. So another point is that these chapters are building up in the Bhagavad Gita. This is not the final understanding of Bhagavad Gita, which is what I will try to integrate today for you a little bit later. Okay. So I kind of today in this way gave a quick summary of sort of everything that we discussed so far in the last several classes. Now, what is chapter 5? Karma Sanyasa Yoga, or action in Krishna consciousness. What that means, or what this chapter is basically telling us, chapter 3 told us how to do our work and why should we do our work without attachment to results. Chapter 4 told us the entire theory behind it, that is the jnana, karma jnana. Chapter 5 is talking about the result of performing work in full knowledge or with full knowledge. What is the result that you get? So the how, the what, and now the why. Why should you do it? What's the result? So basically the result is being described in chapter 5. Okay. Now, Arjuna again asks a question. So Arjuna still has a doubt. That's why I put that little smiley. It is very similar to the question that he asked in the beginning of the 3rd chapter. But he wants a final clarification. Now, interestingly, this is such an important point. You will see that Arjuna, after listening to the entire Bhagavad Gita, again asks the exact same question at the beginning of chapter 18. Okay, this is such an important point. So what is the question? Remember, at the beginning of chapter 3, we talked about 2 options, 2 spiritual options. Okay. Okay, we talked about 3 things in the beginning of chapter 3. One was a material option. What was the material option for Arjuna?
To fight.
To fight, or you can say, or leave. Both had some pros and cons. If you fight, what are the pros? Glory, win the kingdom, revenge, justice. You can say a better word, you can say revenge is kind of out of spite. Justice is out of dharma. Kshatriya dharma. Or finally, if he loses, martyrdom. There'll be a tomb, some monument will be created, your statue will be there built, and they will be garlanding your statue for whatever, right? All those are benefits. But that is material. At the spiritual level, we discussed two options. What are the two options?
Do with no attachment to results, or do nothing.
Correct. I hope you all heard. Two options were, which are spiritual. Don't do action at all. If you don't perform action at all, there will be no results. Correct? So you are not entangled with the results. The results cause the entanglement, or our attachment to the results causes the entanglement. Okay? Karma bandhana. That word karma bandhana has been used so many times. So don't perform action even, right? And then you will not be entangled by the results. What is the second option? Do the action, but somehow or the other, give up the results or cut your attachment to the result. Zero credit, zero claim, zero proprietorship on the result. Correct? That is Arjuna's question. Which one of the two is better? Who said that? You said? Okay. So what is the first option? Karma Yoga. That is, do the work, but that is, and here Karma Yoga, technically the full word is what? Nishkama Karma Yoga. No kama. Kama means desire. So Nishkama, without any desire for results, do your work. And Karma Sanyasa means sannyas from karma itself. I won't even do the work. Right? Obviously, if I don't even do the work, there will be no results, and I'm good. So both options. So he's asking which one is better. And Lord Krishna begins by saying, I'm using the word begins. Please mark this. Begins by saying that Karma Yoga is better than Karma Sanyasa. And there's a reason why he is saying that. Can you all go to, do you have a Bhagavad Gita? Maybe you can bring you one. It's okay. It's okay. Paper. Where is this? Pashyati na pashyati. Which verse is this? Yes. So in the 5th verse, Lord Krishna says that Yat Syankhai Prapyate Sthanam Tad Yogair Api Gamyate Ekam Sankhyam Cha Yogam Cha Yah Pashyati Sa Pashyati. So there he is saying actually both are the same. Yoga and Sankhya. The two terms are Karma Yoga and Karma Sanyasa. Sankhya talks about Karma Sanyasa. Okay, Sankhya and Karma Sanyasa means just knowledge. Sankhya, just knowledge, no action. Sort of some kind of a enlightenment or some kind of, nirvana kind of stage. We'll talk about that. He's saying both are equal. I'm telling you a little bit later. That's the 5th verse. But what does he start by saying? He begins by saying the following. Verse number 2. Sanyasaha karma yogascha nishreyasya karabhuvau tayostu karma sanyasat karma yogo vishishyate. So between Karma Sanyasa and Karma Yoga, Karma Yoga Vishishyate, which means Karma Yoga is better. That's why I have put this greater than sign here. Okay. No need to look at the book. When I tell you, then you can look at the book. I'm very, very prescriptive. Pay attention to what I'm saying and what's on the slide. So Karma Yoga is better than Karma Sanyasa. That's the beginning line of thought. Are you following? All right. But they are both the same because the result is disentanglement from results, phala. Okay. Why is Karma Yoga better than Karma Sanyasa? Because as a human being or as a living entity, living being, we are anyway doing some kind of work. This will also come later in this chapter. So the answer is being given, which one is better and what is the main focus of this chapter is not which one is better. That is how the chapter is framed because Arjuna is asking that question. The essence of the chapter is still this, as to what is the result of performing action with full knowledge. So the result is going to be described. That is the purpose of the chapter. It happens to start off with Arjuna's question. And Lord Krishna is saying that Karma Yoga is better. And why is that? We have already read it in previous chapters that we are, by our nature, there are two reasons. By our nature, we have a nature to perform some kind of work. You try to pull yourself away from that, one way or the other, you will anyway perform it. Okay? Like my wife, I'll give the example, personal examples, and I'll embarrass her. She likes to cook, likes to make nice things. Okay? And then one day when she's very frustrated, and she says, I'm not going to cook. I'm, not going to go in the kitchen. I say, okay, no problem. Then half an hour, you'll find her in the kitchen and doing all kinds of stuff. Right? The nature is there. You can say that I won't do it out of some frustration or impulse or whatever. But the nature will drag you back. Just like in Arjuna's case. That's what Lord Krishna said in the beginning. You are a Kshatriya. You have to fight. Your nature is to fight. To see justice being delivered and all the other things about a Kshatriya. You're right now trying to be a Brahmana nature. And again, Brahmana and Kshatriya is not by birth. It is by Guna and Karma, 4.13. Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. Chaturvarnyam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. So your Guna and Karma is of a Kshatriya. You're anyway going to come back. Half an hour later or half a day later or half a week later, you will see your other brothers fighting. And then you'll be like, what the heck am I doing here? In the forest or wherever. I need to go there and help them. And again, back. So that is one reason. Trying to be somebody who you are not. Swabhava is the word that is used. And if you do otherwise, what was the Sanskrit word that was used? Who remembers? Mithyachari, pretender, artificial imposition. Okay? Are you all following? Why did I raise my own hand? Sorry. Oops. That is one reason. Okay? The second reason is you must stop really all work. Even if you are breathing. I mean, fine, you may be living in the forest, not fighting, not doing your whatever prescribed duties it is called. Your what is known as your dharma. Kshatriya dharma, Brahmana dharma or Kula dharma. So many dharmas are there. Software engineering dharma. Support your family dharma. Playing cricket dharma. So many, dharmas may be there. But let's say you give them all up. Some basic activity you have to do, like breathe, eat, all those things you have to do. You have to even stop that. That is when there will be complete karma sanyasa. Otherwise, you're not like complete karma sanyasa. You're 99% sanyasa, 1% you're still performing action, and whatever result is coming out of that performance of action will bind you. We discussed this thing about if you're breathing, there are some living entities just dying because of your breathing, of the hot air coming out. That's why those Jain Munis keep the mask sort of, right? So that is the point. Are you clear? Why Lord Krishna begins, again, the focus is on begins by saying that Karma Yoga is better. Better do your karma, give up the attachment to the results. That is the same in the 5th verse. So now we'll actually transition to the 5th verse, where Lord Krishna is saying, Ekam Sankhyam cha Yogam cha. They are both the same. One who knows this, Yah Pashyati Sa Pashyati, is the true seer. Who can see this is the true seer, is the true knowledgeable person. Are you understanding? So they are both the same. Clear? Super clear? Super duper clear. Now, I'm going to jump around a little bit in this chapter because I'm trying to give you an integrated understanding. Today's class is very important to really understand the link of the chapter so far and where we are going. So I'm going to I have thought about it a lot, and I'm going to create this flow of the discussion for today, special flow, little bit deviating from the sequence of verses in the Bhagavad Gita to make it simple. If you now go to verse numbers 27 and 28, the penultimate verses of chapter 5, 5.27, 5.28, they are given together. You all found it? Why do I keep raising my hand? So, who's doing that? So what does it say? Let me read it for you. You just follow. Shutting out all external sense objects. So everything that you perceive in the universe is a sense object. Anything that you perceive. Okay, any physical object. So shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows. If some of you want, you can try that. Your focus between the two eyebrows. Suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, which means stop breathing. What do you do through the nostrils? Breathe in and breathe out. Suspending the inward and the outward process. There are various techniques of pranayama. And ultimately to the point where you stop that. Don't do that. We don't want any 911 calls here. Okay. And thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. Okay, so what is being talked about here in this verse? Is it Karma Yoga or Karma Sanyasa? Karma Sanyasa. Complete abstinence from everything. From all activity completely. This, whatever is mentioned here in 27 and 28 is nothing but Dhyaan Yoga. This takes us into chapter 6. Whatever is described here in these two verses becomes the topic of chapter 6. You will see very similar discussion in chapter 6, controlling the mind, and stopping all activity. And that is known as Dhyaan Yoga, or another name for it is Ashtanga Yoga. And it has 8 steps in the journey. And that is given, those 8 steps, right in the purport of this verse, 27-28, 5.27-28. It's given there. The 8 steps starts with Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyaan, and finally Samadhi. This verse, what is described here is the Samadhi state. Completely stopping all activity. Even the mind is completely stopped. Even the mind is not thinking, oh, when will I start breathing? No, the mind is also stopped, like complete standstill. It says here, and completely controlling the mind. The mind is free of any thought. Try that for 10 seconds. Try to keep your mind free of thought for 10 seconds. The word free of thought will come in your mind. That's not free of thought. You're thinking about free of thought. So it's a very advanced stage. All right. That is going into dhyana. And Lord Krishna will say at least 2 times in the Bhagavad Gita that Dhyana Yoga is better or is a higher state than Nishkama Karma Yoga. But it is harder. Do you agree it's harder? True Karma Sanyasa. Not just sannyasa from fighting, but complete Karma Sanyasa from all action. Yeah. Therefore, Lord Krishna says Karma Yoga is better than Karma Sanyasa. But he says in the 5th verse, they are equal. And later on, he will say Karma Sanyasa is actually higher. If you can do it. Not as a pretender, not as a mithyachari. That is even worse than Nishkama Karma Yoga. That's nothing. There are so many pretenders in the world. Okay, so that is like, we don't even want to. Bhagavad Gita is not even talking about such people. Okay, so it's not about pretending, it's about the real thing. Are you all with me? Completely you're following what I'm saying? Yeah. Very nice. Okay, so let's make progress. So now that you have understood this distinction between Karma Yoga and Karma Sanyasa, which one is higher in the beginning, but ultimately they are equal, and actually the ability to give up all karma is higher. But what it means, I also showed you. It means something mind-blowing, unimaginable, that is not possible, that state of samadhi. Okay, so that is what is, that is the connection between 5th chapter and 6th chapter. And just to give you a preclude, after hearing all this, Arjuna will say, I cannot do this. Sorry. This is too hard. Not because he said this is too uninteresting, too whatever. He just says it's too hard. He says, I can control the wind. Arjuna has the power to control. He has weapons. He has technology to control the wind. Can anybody control the wind today? We run away when a hurricane comes or a tornado comes. We hide in the basement. Nobody can control the wind. Arjuna had technology to control the wind. He says, that is okay for me. But controlling the mind and make it thoughtless, not possible, Krishna. And then we'll see. That's when we transition into the, which we should say, the real Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so Arjuna surrenders twice in Bhagavad Gita. First surrender happened from his, oh, I don't want to fight, I don't want to kill my dear Bhishma, how can I kill my dear Drona? Then he says, Shadhi mam tvam prapannam. that please, I surrender to you. You tell me what to do. That was the first surrender, and the second surrender will happen at the end of chapter 6. So I'm giving you that sort of view of what is going in this whole scene. Okay. So some quick verses. 5.10, very nice verse. I personally like it very much. That what happened here? One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord. Brahmanyadhyaya karmani. So Brahman adhyaya, giving up the karmani means the here karma. So one more important point. Wake up everyone. Ting ting. Karma has 4 meanings contextually. Karma, one meaning is just action. Okay. The second meaning of karma is good action. This was the meaning that was used in 4.17 when Lord Krishna is saying karma, vikarma and akarma. He should have actually said sakarma or sukarma. Means good action. Vikarma is bad action, pious action, sinful action, and akarma, which no action, or action with which results in no reaction. So one meaning is just action, karma. Karma karte jao. Do your duty, do your work. That is karma. Another karma means doing good action, as in its opposite being vikarma. Vikarma. So karma and vikarma. We could have also said sukarma. That's the second meaning. The third meaning is karma means the reaction. Oh, you will get karma. Oh, it's my past karma. My past, reaction of my past, mistakes. I'm carrying my karma with me. Right? That's the third meaning, karma. And the fourth meaning is the system of karma, the law of action, reaction, and everything, Oh, karma will determine what happens to me. Or, karma. Or gahana karmano gatihi, same 4.17. This law of karma is very hard to understand. So these are the 4 meanings. And upon context in the Sanskrit, we have to, and if we cannot understand, our acharyas, our saints, our commentators who are saints, not some professor of Harvard or Oxford, we must listen to commentaries from saints. They will tell us the contextual meaning. So when we say Brahmanadhyaya karmani, here it means that whoever surrenders the result of action to Brahman, he is surrendering the results unto the, and that is what is being, Brahman is being translated as Supreme Lord because that is spiritual, is unaffected by sinful action, just as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. Okay. So you can see here in the picture, the water, the leaf, the lotus leaf comes in contact with the water. It's not that it doesn't come in contact. So on a dry, sunny day, the leaf is dry. But even on a rainy day, when it is coming in contact with water, the water just falls off. And the leaf continues to remain dry. So that is what is being said. Okay. Whether it is a sunny day, which means karma sanyasa, no action or whatever, no water, or a rainy day, the leaf remains dry. Following? That is what is being said here. This is talking about how a person who is not attached to the results of the fruit of his work basically remains as dry as if it was on a sunny day. No difference. So both are the same. Okay.
So is this same as the Bhakti Yoga that we used earlier?
No, we'll come to Bhakti Yoga. Don't get ahead of yourself. Stay with it. We have 6-month, 5-month course. Your question will be so abundantly answered, you will not have that question. Okay. Okay. Now we come into the result. Remember what was the topic of chapter 5? What was the essence of chapter 5 or the main theme of chapter 5? You all forgot? What is the result of performing the action with full knowledge? Okay. So here in verse number 16, very clearly, first time Lord Krishna is describing the result. Result is enlightenment. And the word Brahma Nirvanam is coming in one of the next verses. So 1 second. Yeah. So the translation is when, however, one is enlightened with knowledge. So enlightenment is the result. And the word that will be given to it is Nirvana or Brahma Nirvana. In the next many verses it will be given just soon after. With the knowledge by which this whole nescience means all this, our desires and our attachment to results, everything, all that is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. So it is like enlightenment. So what is the result of doing your work with full knowledge? Enlightenment. The Sanskrit name is Brahma Nirvanam. Okay.
Brahma Jyoti is same.
Okay. Yes, it is same. Brahma Jyoti is the destination. You getting there is the result, which is Nirvana or Brahma Nirvana. Okay. So clear? Okay. So now I want to jump around a little bit more. And let me explain you what is this result Brahma Nirvanam. Okay. We will go back to, let me see if I wanna. And in the meantime, if you have any questions or anything, please raise your hands or it would be a good time to ask questions while I search for.
So why is this called, what is Brahma in there? I mean, Brahma Nirvana. In Brahma Nirvana, what is that Brahma? I mean,
okay. Let me
Brahmasmi. So many things, but what is Brahma?
Let me answer that question. That's exactly what I'm trying to answer. So if we go here, yeah, let me share my browser. So if you go here and you go to the website, our class website or whatever, our little website that we have for all the programs that we do, it's called gitapdx.com. And within that, if you go here, you go to this link called useful links. And there is this another link. It's a little deep. I'm not the world's best website creator, so pardon me. You can bookmark it if you want at the end. It's a Google Drive shared folder. And within that, interesting documents is the folder. And within that, there is this poster, creation poster that I shared with you. Uh-oh. So let's see. Okay. Okay, so you can see this.
Yes.
So I think I had shown this before, did I?
Yes.
Yes. So this is the material world. This is all drawn based on the Vedic understanding from the Vedic texts. And the Vedic texts are all consistent about this understanding. There is no inconsistency. So this is the entire material world. On the it's a whole, like a sphere. A small section is shown. Within that, there are multiple universes. So anyway, we'll not worry about that. And then there is the spiritual world shown here. And within that, there are many, many Vaikuntha planets. This whole thing is called Vaikuntha, or you can have specific Vaikuntha planets. Okay. The light or the energy, now this is not light as in light in the, photons or light in the visible spectrum. It's not electromagnetic waves. No, we don't know what it is. Okay. According to the Shastra, that energy or that light coming from the spiritual world is called Brahman or Brahma Jyoti. Okay. And that is the separation. That is the only thing that is there in the separation portion between the spiritual world and the material world. So what is there in between the spiritual world and material world? Brahma Jyoti or Brahman. Okay. Clear? So those who get out of this material world, those who leave the material world, as long as you are inside the material world, what do you have to face? One thing you have to face: birth and death. Correct? So as soon as you leave this material world, as soon as you cut through the boundary of this material world, you come into Brahma Jyoti. Now again, this is not in any kind of three-dimensional space, cut into it, like as in like you open that door and get into the courtyard or the backyard. That's not the understanding. This all is beyond the three-dimensional space understand. So don't ask me a smart aleck question. Oh, what do you mean cut into, and is it like what? So I don't know. So, but at a simplified level, once those who exit out or those who leave the material world, they get into the Brahma Jyoti. And then you can also further go into one of the Vaikuntha planets, into the spiritual world. All right.
So these are the souls that are taking mukti.
Taking
Not-
mukti or have obtained mukti or moksha.
Okay.
And there are various types of moksha. In the Bhagavad Purana, there are 5 types of moksha described. One is known as sayujya mukti. Sayujya mukti is one who stays here in the Brahma Jyoti. And then there are 4 other types of mukti or moksha which are described, where one goes into the spiritual world, and they are known as salokya mukti. Salokya means you enter into a planet, a loka. Salokya means, sa means with Bhagawaan. Salokya. Next one is samipya. Not only you enter into the planet, you stay with the Lord. Samipya. The third one is, third among the whatever, you know what I'm talking about. So sayujya is one, and then there are 4. Within that, there is salokya, samipya, saristi. Saristi means you experience the opulences as the Lord. And the 4th one is sarupya, where you get the form, a spiritual form as the Lord. Now this class is not about a detailed PhD into all these categories, okay? But I'm just telling you that these 4 mean that you enter into the Vaikuntha planet. Whereas there is another one, sayujya, which is one stays in Brahma Jyoti level. Are you following? So it's just, you can think of it as 2 categories: in the Brahma Jyoti level or within the Vaikuntha planets, which has further 4 categories. That's all I would like you to understand. We are not going to get into what are those distinctions between the four. For that, you can come to one of our Saturday classes, which are more sort of detailed. Okay. So what Brahma Nirvanam is talking about, what we talked about Brahma Nirvanam is the sayujya level, staying at the Brahma Jyoti level. That is the result of doing your activity with full knowledge, doing your activity completely Nishkama Karma Yoga, abandoning or complete detachment from all results, with full knowledge of this whole process, results in what mukti? Sayujya mukti. Are you following? I'm almost teaching you like small children, making you repeat every time. So what is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? Okay. Clear? And that is also known as Brahma Nirvanam. Because, and this Brahma Nirvanam has nothing to do with Brahmaji with 3 heads or 4 heads. That is different. Brahman, this is Brahman or Brahma Jyoti. Because you are getting that destination of Brahman, it is known as Brahma Nirvanam. Okay? So the result is clear? Clear? All right, now let's take some questions. So there was a question there, and I think question here, and then one question online. So let's take these 3 questions and we'll move on. So let's see.
You answered my question.
Okay, so we answered the question. Done. Next.
So, a question I have is when we say somebody is enlightened or achieved moksha, does it mean that he has given up the body?
Very nice question. The question was, has he given up the body? Hang on, just few more minutes. Lord Krishna is a very perfect teacher. Once again, he predicted you will ask the question, and that question is being answered very nicely, and I have highlighted that portion as well. That whole thing is known as Jivan Mukti. Many of you asked that question about Jivan Mukti as well. That is Jivan Mukti. We'll answer that question. Online, what's the question, Suresh? Prabhu.
Yeah, Hari Om. My question is in 5.10, it said sinful action. Right? What does that sinful action refer to there in the 5.10? Lipyate nacha papani, it says. The papani, what does it refer to?
Yeah, so lipyate nasa papena padmapatram ivam bhasa. So what it means is that he is not entangled here. Papa, even good reaction is as good as sinful reaction because it is binding you. You are now with this advanced level of understanding that we have in the 5th chapter. We should, or Arjuna, or all the serious students, please pay attention. That's a good question. This Prabhu is reading the words nicely and carefully. Papa, papa means sinful action. I kill somebody, I steal from somebody, or whatever. That is what we know as papa. Okay? But with this knowledge, if you are enjoying the fruits of your pious action, or if you have the desire to do pious action so that you can enjoy the fruits of the pious action, what kind of fruits does pious action produce? Sweet or sour? Sweet. Sinful action produces sour fruits, or whatever, bitter or thorny, whatever you want to call. But even if you have a desire to enjoy sweet fruit and therefore you do pious action, what is the result? You are bound. You are still bound. Karma bandhana is still happening, and you are not attaining the highest result. What does that make you? A fool. You are selling yourself cheap, so to say. Lord Krishna will say that. We are in the Saturday classes doing this, going through this Upanishad called Isha Upanishad. Among the 108 Upanishads, there are 11 principal Upanishads. Isha Upanishad, Keno Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, Kathopanishad, so many others. Among all the 11 principal ones, Isha Upanishad is the number 1. as mentioned in Matsya Purana. Matsya Purana lists those 11 ones, with Isha Upanishad being first. So we went through all of those. In the third mantra of Isha Upanishad, such people who are doing pious action also for obtaining for the fruit, sweet fruit, are known as Atmahana. Atmahana means killer of the soul. You wasted your human life doing pious activity, and you didn't use the human life for the real purpose, which was spiritual liberation. So you are a utter, not only a fool, you are a utter like a killer of the soul. It's like, you sent your child after spending $80,000 to a good college and he didn't study. What will the father say? So Lord Krishna or Bhagawaan is speaking the Upanishads. He's saying you are a Atmahana, such a fool. So that is as good as Papa. Your child will say, I had a good time, I made good friends, I went to all the ice cream shops, I have some wonderful idea of all the restaurants, everything, but I didn't get a degree for which I went. So he didn't commit any crime, he didn't go killing anybody, he didn't take into drugs. But what will the father say? So like that, Lord Krishna is saying. All right, so I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, very nice question. So now I'm going to jump around a little bit into a particular concept. And since we are right in the middle of today's discussion, 5 to 7 p.m. and it's 6 p.m., perfect timing, when we have maximum attendance, sort of attendance kind of curves, right? So I want to bring up this very important point. Please pay attention. The 3 levels of understanding God. The 3 levels of understanding God. So let me share back the slides. Let's see. The absolute truth. Now we don't want to say God because it may refer to the 3rd level, Bhagawaan. But we'll come to that. Okay. The absolute truth, whoever that what we may call as God or whatever is, there are 3 levels of understanding that. Okay. So this verse that I have taken is a very direct, it has these 3 technical terms. Spiritual knowledge is technical, and therefore we have to use some terms. Like in any technical knowledge, you have to use technical terms. Otherwise, you can't, like in math, when you say small I, what is small I? No.
Imaginary root minus 1.
Just that. Not imaginary, not this, nothing. It's the square root of -1. So you just indicate it by I, right? Or pi. We can say, what is pi? 3.1412, whatever else. So you just have a technical symbol or a term. Okay? Because otherwise the sentences will become too long. If you have to say something, you have to say pi. Okay? You say, the value which is obtained when you take a circle and divide its circumference with the diameter, that value times, and then you fit it wherever else in the formula. So instead of just saying pi, you already inserted 20 words. And by that time, you're confused. So that is the value of technical terminology. So whatever that absolute supreme is, okay, is understood at 3 levels. Please pay very careful attention. This portion is very important for understanding much of the Bhagavad Gita later. And we can refer to this later, but I will always kind of come back and say, go listen to that. So those 3 levels are known as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagawaan. Now, many times Paramatma and Bhagawaan, we do not understand the difference. We say Paramatma, Raksha karo meri Paramatma. Actually, we are talking to Bhagawaan at that point. There is a difference between Paramatma and Bhagawaan. Technical terminology wise. So this is the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti Bhagavan iti shabdyate. So what it means, so those three terms are there: brahmeti, paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti shabdyate. So those vadanti tat tattvavidas. Tattvavid means who have seen the essence, those people. The Gyanis or the saints or the acharyas, the gurus. Tattvavid, they know the essence completely, all aspects of the essence. Vadanti, they have said that the tattva, that essence, that supreme, whatever that supreme is, that tattva is known by three names. And it's not a mystery that these are in increasing order. There is an order to it. What is it? It is called iti shabdyate. It is called as Brahmeti or Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Now let us understand what these are. Okay? Are you all ready? Awake? So the example I will take is that of the government. So what is the government? Does the government exist? In this country, let us say America, United States of America. Does government exist?
Yes.
Yeah. What is government for you? Now, I hope you can see some pictures there. So we will go with me, okay? This is not open-ended. I'm guiding the discussion here. So sometimes you might have been, these first two pictures. Are these too small? Let me increase the font or something. Yeah, a little bigger. So you might have seen this when driving your tax dollars at work. Have you seen that? Who did you pay tax to? To the road department? No, you paid it to the IRS or wherever, one place, central place, the government. Correct? They are doing these projects. You feel happy. It's all this sign is all to make you feel happy that your taxes are being used and therefore you should continue to pay your taxes. Right? That's why these put up these signs. But the government is, government exists, isn't it? You come from India, let us say, where the roads are, now they are much better. Earlier, they were non-existent. My mom, she would say, yeah, malai ke jaisi hai road yahan pe. Malai means like, it's like cream or it's like butter. Compared to India, it is like, wow, this is like heaven. Like not even a single pothole on the road, correct? Even on the inside roads, you can drive at 45 or 50 miles an hour, translate to almost 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. That's like pretty high speed. Okay. And what to speak of when you drive at like 70 or 75 miles, that's like 120 kilometers an hour, right? So government exists. So once you compare it from there, oh my God, all this, to get a telephone connection, you have to wait 2 years to, get some permit or this or that and all. Oh, wow, here it's so. Government is much better. So government exists. You go to, what's the other picture there? I picked the airport security. Very thorough, very nice, whatever. So you feel happy that the government exists. But are you seeing the government there? Is that really the government? You're seeing some construction workers, you're seeing some airport security staff, correct? And they're everywhere. Aren't the roads everywhere? Isn't the airport staff, whatever is there, everywhere, every city you go, there's an airport. In general, again, don't extend, this is just an analogy. Don't extend the analogy too far. Oh, there is no airport in the middle of Mount Hood. That's not what I mean. I mean is that it's everywhere. So the government, the presence is felt everywhere. So here you can see the effect of the government's presence, but you don't see the government itself. Do you? So therefore, this is the impersonal understanding that the government exists. There's no person you see. Where is the government? You don't see any form. You don't see even a government building. Fine, you may call airport as a government building, but on the road, what building do you see? Nothing. There's absolutely nothing that you see on a road. You just see the road. Empty desert road you see. But that is telling you the government exists because it built it. So the effect of the government's presence is apparent. Are you following? Am I going too slow? Okay. That is like the Brahman understanding. Brahman is there, and Brahman is there everywhere. You may or may not see it. A fool will think, oh, the roads always exist. Somebody like who's born in America will say, oh, roads should be there everywhere. Once he goes to India, he will realize, oh, what a benefit it is. I'm again not dissing on India, but whatever. You get just to convey the point. Okay. Like there was this famous saying, some in the French Revolution, somebody said people don't have bread to eat. Then that prince or princess says, oh, if they don't have bread, why don't they eat cakes? So kind of clueless about the people's situation, right? But here the point is that the roads exist. So you can feel the presence of the government. Now, in that other picture, when I showed that Brahman, it's not just between the material and spiritual world. Okay? Brahman is there, but that's the only thing in between the spiritual and material worlds. But it doesn't mean Brahman is not there in the spiritual world or in the material world. It is at both places as well. But there are other things too. In the material world, there is all this stuff that you see. Planets and universes and so on. In the spiritual world, there is Vaikuntha, there is Bhagawaan, and there's so many things. In between, there is only Brahman, but it doesn't mean Brahman is not anywhere else. It is everywhere. Okay? So God's presence, his presence is felt everywhere. Can be felt everywhere. Who can see? Who cannot see will say there's no God. So that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about the lowest level of the presence of God. Is his effect, which is known as Brahman. Are you following? And again, this is trying to make you understand of a very, very deep concept in very simple terms. Okay? Quantum mechanics, which is so hard, is nothing in front of this understanding. So I'm trying to make you understand something very complex in some very simple words. Don't ask me all kind of, oh, but what about, where's the equation, or where is this, what is that, what is that? I won't have answers. This is extremely deep stuff. Okay? So that is Brahman. Second one, now you come closer. You try to find out where is the government. Somebody will tell you the government is in Washington, D.C. Go there. Okay, so you go to Washington, D.C., you come closer. Where in Washington, D.C.? Huh? The capital. White House is one guy. He doesn't have any power anyway. All the senators and law, whatever. So you go to this Capitol or White House or whatever. White House is also, the capital is also white. So it's okay. So you go there, right? You say, this is the government. You see a form, temple or something. I will explain what it means in terms of Paramatma. And then you say, okay, this is just a building. So you may go inside. Sometimes, they let tourists inside and you go into the Senate chamber. You see, oh, these whatever. You get some idea of the form. The form is the most important point that I'm trying to bring out. So you can see the form. You can see something. Okay? But still it is impersonal. It is somewhat person. You can see a person. This was just a building. Now you can see some people. You can know that they are people. They are not like aliens. They have 2 hands, 2 feet, whatever. They are persons. But you cannot talk to them, you cannot interact with them, right? Then let's say you become friends with one of them. That's the personal form. That's the sort of the deepest understanding of the government. Let's say here I'm put a cell where somebody is taking a selfie with the president or whatever, this I Googled for, Obama on a vacation. So this person is some family friend of Obama, and they're enjoying some vacation somewhere. And he will tell you, yeah, when that bill came, and then I had to fight with John Boehner and whoever else was the, House Speaker who was always opposing me, or whatever may be the case. He will tell some stories and all that. You get an idea of how that person who is at the head of the government thinks. All those things you will get to know very much more personal aspects. Are you following? Another very nice example. And that is where you get, when I say personal, personal also means some kind of sweetness. Okay, some kind of rasa. It is called rasa or taste. So let me give you another example, which is very commonly taken, is that of okay, before I go there, these are the 3 levels of understanding. And as you can probably see from here, that the lowest level of understanding is the Brahman understanding. The next level is Paramatma. Now in Paramatma understanding, now let me connect it back. When one performs this Nishkama Karma Yoga, this level of detachment from all the results with full knowledge, that was the topic of chapter 5. What is the result? One gets Brahman realization or Brahma Nirvana. That is Brahma Nirvana. So one is getting that enlightened to the fact one was clueless that the government exists. Now one is understanding, all these good roads and this airport security and whatever exists is because of a government. That's who is making it happen. Aha. So you get that understanding. That is Brahma. So that person got Brahma Nirvana. Are you following? That this whole world is running based on a superior, some superior entity. He has no idea of what it looks like, who is it, but he knows that there is somebody, not even a body. You don't even know if it's a person or a alien or just some, artificial intelligence or what. But something is causing this whole thing to run in a structured manner, organized manner. Okay, that is Brahma Nirvana. That is the result. One gets enlightened, one is able to leave this material world and get sayujya mukti. Then when one does the Dhyaan Yoga, which is what we discussed in the last penultimate 2 verses, no action at all, samadhi stage, then one is able to see Bhagawaan face to face. He sees the Vishnu form, the 4-handed Chaturbhuja Vishnu form with Shankha Chakra Gada Padma. So he's able to see, aha, this is the one who is making it, who's behind all this organization. So he sees a form. He cannot interact with that form or do anything. He just sees the form. Okay. And then we go from chapter 6 to chapter 7, which is bhakti, to your question. Then one becomes a friend of the Lord, or one can actually talk to the Lord, to Bhagawaan, that person whom he saw just. He can talk to, he can interact, he can have some sweet exchange, which is what the devotees do. Like Mother Yashoda, she gives butter to Krishna. That is bhakti. So all these dhyana yogis who are doing dhyana yoga or samadhi, they can see Bhagawaan, they cannot interact. It's like you're standing away and you're seeing from the balcony that you get that view of the Senate House. You're not allowed to go there and talk. The security guards will stop you. Okay. But by bhakti, you can directly approach. And then there is enjoyment, there is ananda. I don't want to make it too complicated, but there are also, this is represented in this term, Satchidananda. It is composed of three terms, Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Sat is the result of Dhyaan Yoga or the Karma Sanyasa Yoga, the Nishkama Karma Yoga with knowledge. Chit is the result of Dhyaan Yoga at the Samadhi stage. And Ananda is when you get the sweetness. So another nice example which brings out this thing is, there are two examples. I don't know how much time I should spend. I can probably spend a little more time. One is the example of a train when you're waiting in the railway station. You can imagine in India, railway station, sometimes the train is 3 hours late, 4 hours one time. It was even 1 day late. You're sitting at the station and you don't even know when it will come. It can come anytime. So you can't even go and, you have to keep waiting. Finally, you see far away, you see a light, some bright light you see. Then you don't even know if it is your train or some other train. You just see some train. Okay, some train is coming. Again, these are just analogies in a funny way. I have heard and some I have manufactured myself, whatever. There is some feeling of satisfaction. Something works in this country. Some train is coming. We don't know if it's mine or what. Something is coming. Maybe a bus is coming, who knows. Then when the train is arriving on the station, you see, train is coming. Sometimes in India, I remember I used to see as the train is going, which one it is, because on every bogie, they used to say the name of the train. Is it my train or is it some other train? But you get the idea, this is this train. Oh, this is the one I want to board. So you get some idea of the form when it comes closer. Then when it stops, you know it's your train. You can get into the train and finally you are on your journey. That is Ananda. You following? Or another very nice example is, if you're very hungry, how many of you have done like a full day fast? No water, nirjal. Yeah, I have done sometimes, and the next day I'm just ready to attack on the, it's like so, So imagine you're in that situation. And then you pass by a house or wherever and sweet smell of cake is coming. It gives out butter gives out very nice smell. That itself makes you happy, even though you cannot eat it. So it's just that that some nice thing is being cooked. You don't know whether it's a cake or a whatever, some other form of pasta or whatever, but something nice is there. I wish I could, you have that itself gives you some satisfaction. Then when you come closer, you see the form of the cake. It's like a triple layer cake or a strawberry or vanilla or whatever, yellow colored or pink colored. And then finally, when you cut a piece and you eat it, that's when you're interacting with it. You get Ananda. So these are the three levels: impersonal, completely impersonal, then some form, and then bliss. Bliss or sweetness or joy, whatever you call. Those are the three. So I have spent a lot of time trying to explain what is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagawaan. Is it to some, of course, in half an hour, who can explain who is Bhagawaan? People have spent lifetimes trying to understand Bhagawaan. So I'm not trying to claim that now you have understood Bhagawaan. But do you get at least some idea from where you were half an hour ago? Something has been clarified? Okay, that was the intent. Fine. So the result of this Nishkama Karma Yoga with full knowledge is what? Brahman level, which is known as Brahma Nirvana. So now we will go back and look at Brahma Nirvana. Are you following? So if you see in 5 point, please open your books and go to 5.24. 24, 25, and 26. All three. I can probably pull it up, or you can all see. Let me also pull it up here. So chapter 5, 5.24. So you will see the word Brahma Nirvanam here. Brahma Nirvanam. Correct? So that is the destination or the end result of a Nishkama Karma Yogi with jnana. Brahma Nirvanam, Brahma Bhuto, Adhigacchati. He goes there to Brahma Nirvana stage. Next verse, same thing. Labhante Brahma Nirvanam. Labhante means he obtains. Labhante, labh. Labh means to obtain. He attains Brahma Nirvanam. And the next verse also has this Brahma Nirvanam over here. Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditatmanam. Viditatmanam. So Brahma Nirvanam is the destination of such a person. Are you following? Okay, so we touched upon Brahma Nirvanam. So some other points I want to touch upon, which is this one. Jivan Mukta stage. So symptoms of an enlightened person. So what are some of the symptoms? So before the Brahma Nirvana is what? The achievement, labhante. That is the word we used here, right? Where I think I have highlighted that word labhante. Yeah, it's coming in the next one, labhante or labhate Brahma Nirvana. So that is the attainment of Brahma Nirvana. That means when you actually have attained that. Before that, on almost there, that is known as the Brahma Sthita stage. Almost there. Okay. And he is going towards that. And what is known as here, he goes towards moksha. Gacchanti apunaravrittim. Apunaravrittim means no coming back. Punaravritti
come
means,
back.
Yeah, punaravritti means to come back. Apunaravritti means no coming back. He goes towards that. And it is even more clarified in the 23rd verse where it says Parak Sharira Vimokshanat. Sharira Vimokshanat, which means you get before you get rid of the body. Sharira. Sharira cannot mean anything else. It cannot mean the soul or anything. Sharira is Sharira. Prak means before. Vimokshanat means before you give up the body. That is the stage being talked about. That is known as Brahma Sthita stage. You are as good as Brahman, but you still have a body. As good as Brahma Nirvana stage, but you still have a body. So these are the people who are sure to get Brahma Nirvana at the time of death. But as of this moment, also they are as good as that. Their consciousness is completely purified. So there is no difference in their consciousness between now or after death. So that is known as the Jivan Mukta stage. You are alive. Jivan means now soul is always alive, but your body is also alive. Body is not dead. You can see there. This is not. I'm not making it up. Prak sharira vimokshanat, before the body is destroyed. What else is there? It's very clear. So who asked that question? Before body, is it answered? So that is known as the Jivan Mukta stage. It is as good as the Brahma Nirvana stage. And then these people, what do? They go and benefit other people. Okay. They go around. These are the saints. There are two types of saints. Now again, I'm kind of a little bit extending because I see there is some time today. I'm a little bit ahead of schedule. Two types of saints are there. One is the I'm forgetting the Sanskrit term. We can say in English, eternally liberated. Nitya Siddha. Yes, thank you. They were already liberated before they came into the material world. So they come here to the material world on the orders of Bhagwan. You go and do this, do that, do that, do that. So he sends a spiritual person, but when that person comes to the material world, he has to take a body. Okay. So they are eternally liberated. They are already liberated. When they come to this world, obviously they are liberated. Right from birth, they will be like completely like a saint. You may think that he has a body, he breathes, he eats, but their consciousness is as good as Brahma Nirvana or Brahma Sthita. So they are the Nitya Siddhas. So I said there are two types of saints. And the other ones are who have worked their way up. Okay. They are known as Jivan Muktas. Those who are working. You can say Nitya Siddha is a Jivan Mukta, but that's not the right use of the term. Jivan Mukta means those who have worked their way up. Are you following? I'm just telling you technical terms, but the terminology is not the important part. The concept behind it is important. You can understand that there are two types of saints. Okay. So sometimes the Lord sends his saints, they say, why are you sending me into that material world? It's like, the US government saying you go be an ambassador of, I don't know, Afghanistan or some war-torn country, Syria. If you want me to make me an ambassador, make me an ambassador of, I don't know, UK or Norway or some friendly place where I can go and have a good time and, I can go enjoy. Why I have to go to Syria? Or like in the military, my cousin brothers in military, they have this rule. Every posting is 3 years. One is known as a hard posting, then easy posting. Hard posting, easy posting. Do any of you have relatives there like that? I have. So Srinagar, hard posting. Then Bangalore, easy posting. You see? So they also complain, why you're sending me to material world? Bhagwan says you have gone. They don't complain. They are always very, I'm just making it up that they complain, but it's like they are very happy. They come there for a special purpose. All right. So you understand Jivan Mukta and the Brahmani Sthita or Brahma Sthita stage, and then Brahma Nirvana. So now 15.17 to 23 was the Brahma Sthita stage. Yeah. And what I showed you a little bit before 24, 25, which was this one, is the Brahma Nirvana stage. That is when you have achieved Nirvana. This was when you are going towards Nirvana. That is when you have achieved it. All right. And then in between, there's a very nice verse, very famous verse, and just a side point to be mentioned. Okay. Are you all good with this? Understanding it? That in the Brahma Sthita stage, or, just one of the qualities of such a person is he sees everybody with equal vision. Very nice verse is there, which is called Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane gavi hastini shuni chaiva swapake cha panditaha samadarshinaha. What is the meaning? So we'll leave out the first line. That's the punchline in my opinion. I want to hit upon that point later. But what does he do? This Pandit, he is known as a Pandit, such a person. Another name that is being, Pandit, not today's Pandit, Panditji, Namaste, Panditji, not that Panditji. Here in this verse, Pandita means the Jivan Mukta person. Panditaha Samadarshina, they look at everyone with a equal vision because they see them as a spirit soul. What are the various examples given? A Brahmana. So you can see here in this picture, this is the, are you seeing my mouse? This is the person who is looking at this Brahmana. Another one is Brahmane Gavi. Gavi means a cow. So he is looking at this cow here. Hastini, Brahmane Gavi Hastini, a elephant. Shuni, Shuni means a dog. And Shwapake, the lowest kind of person who eats a dog eater, like yuck. But this Panditaha, whether it be a dog eater or a Brahmana or anybody in between, he looks at all of them with a equal vision. Is it possible for us to do that? You're driving on the road and somebody cuts in front of you. Can you look at him with equal vision? Very hard, no? So that is now another very important. So that is the main theme of the verse. That's the main point. But I wanted to also highlight one more point. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. This person who is this, is not just knowledgeable, Vidya. What does Vidya usually do?
Brings humility.
No, not Garva, somebody said. It actually brings pride. But we all know that knowledge with humility is a deadly combination, but very hard to find. So real knowledge, these Pandita, these Brahmasthita people, not only they have knowledge, they have humility as well. It's not like they're puffed up with knowledge. Very humble. So even in though none of us may be Brahmasthita stage people, but at least the point I would like to say here, many of us are, well-to-do in our various fields. Develop humility. At least try to develop. Knowledge with humility is a very, very potent combination. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne means who is Sampanna. Sampanna means he's having it. He's endowed with it. Okay. So anyway, coming back to the main point, that was a quick aside. We talked about Jivan Mukta going towards. We talked about Brahma Nirvana stage. And at the highest level, there is the ceasing all action completely. Then he would say, why I have to do even any action? Though it is very hard to do, there are some people who can do. And that is what is described in 27-28, which we already read. And that leads us into Dhyaan Yoga, which is the next level, which is the subject matter of chapter 6. So to summarize, we have the 29th verse. Very important. So to summarize so far, those who are doing Nishkama Karma Yoga with full knowledge of it attain the Brahman realization. They can realize means not just know out of this half an hour discussion, no. Really realize, in essence, know everything about Brahman. Okay. Then those who are doing this level of samadhi, level of the dhyana or Ashtanga Yoga, have attained the highest level of Ashtanga Yoga, the 8th level. These are 8 sequential steps. The 8th one being the stage of samadhi. They can see Paramatma. We will see that in the 6th chapter, 7th verse is the key verse there, where they can see Paramatma. If you want, you can open 6.7. Jitatmanah prashantasya paramatma samahitah shitoshana sukha dukkheshu tatha man apamanayoh. Anyway, so you can see the word Paramatma is there. And that is the result of completely jita atmanah prashantasya, who have completely controlled the mind. The mind is completely calm. Jita atmana. Atmana means the mind in this context. Okay? So jita atmana, man ko jeet liya hai jinhone. Those who have won over the mind. That means they have completely controlled the mind. They can see Paramatma. So that is, we'll discuss it next week. But you can see here that that is the highest level as far as Nishkama Karma Yoga is concerned. No karma itself, completely abstain from any action, and that will be discussed. And Lord Krishna is not stopping there. Here is the final verse, 29. This Lord Krishna is giving a hint. Wait, there is more. So till the 26th verse was this discussion about Nishkama Karma Yoga, Brahma Nirvanam, and all those things, 24, 25, 26. All 3 had Brahma Nirvanam in them. So that topic is over. Lord Krishna is introducing Dhyaan Yoga in the next 2 verses and says, wait, there's more. It doesn't end there. The highest level is Bhakti, or the highest level is Bhagawaan. And what is the Sanskrit there? Let's just look at directly at the Sanskrit. Gyatva Mam. Let's look at the last line. Who is the Mam? Mam means in Sanskrit, me. Isn't aham, mam, all those are the words. And who is speaking Bhagavad Gita? No, Krishna is speaking, but the person Krishna is speaking. It is not some Akashvani that is happening to Arjuna, isn't it? Huh? It's not some sound waves coming from the sky. It's the person Bhagwan. He's standing in front of him and speaking. Who's, this person with a peacock feather, with a, Bhagwan Krishna is standing face to face in front of him, not just like a who cannot talk. He's having a conversation, live conversation with Krishna. That is the Mam. So this is the Bhagavan realization. This Bhagavan realization will come very strongly in Bhagavad Gita at 3 more places. Of course, you will see it throughout the Bhagavad Gita, but very strongly, directly in the verses in 6th chapter, in 15th chapter, and in 18th chapter, with 3 levels: low, medium, high, so to say, or whatever, good, better, best.
11th chapter also?
No, not directly 3 levels. No, 11th chapter, no. Which verse? No.
4 hands.
No. The 3 levels. Okay. 3 levels are not there. Only Chaturbhuja form is there. Here I am talking about the 3 levels. So you will see it in 6th chapter, 15th chapter, and 18th chapter. Very strongly this will come. So it's not something that is, made up or manufactured. It's right here in Bhagavad Gita. So Mam, Gyatva Mam Shantim Rachati means he attains the highest peace. In the previous verses also, Brahma Nirvanam, also there is a reference in one of the verses, Shantim Rachati, he attains peace. But the highest peace is what he says then in the previous 3 lines, Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam. So Bhagavan is saying, I am 3 things. One who knows these 3 things about me, Gyatva Mam, who knows Gyatva, who knows that about me, these 3 things. What is the first thing? Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam. Whatever yajna you are doing, Nishkama Karma Yoga is a yajna. In the 4th chapter, if you see, we saw 9 types of yajna. Remember? Forgotten? One of them was Swadhyaya and all those. And Tapa. Tapa we will see in the next chapter. Dhyaan Yoga, which has been hinted in the previous 2 verses. That is Tapa. Stopping the breathing is not easy. It is Tapa. Tapa means austerity. So Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. All the Yajna and Tapa, Bhokta means I am the receiver. Ultimately, I am getting it. You may think you are doing your, that's like Obama. So to say, again, it's not a direct analogy. So don't catch me on that. Oh, he's just elected president. We the people, or, for the people, by the people, all that. Don't get into that. But let's say the king or whatever. He may say, you think you are paying your taxes to the tax department. Ultimately, I am getting it. Ultimately, it's coming into my treasury. I am the owner of the treasury in a sort of a monarchy kind of whatever. You get the point. That is what Krishna is saying. You may think you're doing Jnana Yoga and Tapa Yoga or whatever, Dhyaan Yoga. Ultimately, it's coming to me only. So, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. Bhokta of Yajna and Tapasa. Gyatva Mam. I am. Next point. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Maha Ishwar. Maheshwara. Maha Ishwar. I am the Supreme Lord of Sarvaloka. Not Bhuloka, Prithviloka, Swargaloka. No. Sarvaloka. Sarva means all. Okay. Universal set in set theory. Sarvaloka Maheshwara. I am the Supreme Lord. Gyatva Mam. One who knows this. Shantim Rachati. So one who knows. So now he is describing in this one verse, he is giving a hint about who Bhagawaan is. So first one is Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. I am the ultimate receiver. Second one is Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Third one is Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. Suhridam means Hridaya. Suhridam, friend. Always the one who looks out for. Well-wisher, friend, benefactor, beneficiary, who is looking out for you. Always he has your back, so to say. Suhridam of who? Sarvabhutanam. All living beings. Gyatva Mam. One who knows me to be these 3 things. Shantim Rachati is always peaceful. And the meaning of the Shantim Rachati is, which means he gets the same result as of the other 2 processes. So he concludes there. He doesn't say this is the highest or yet. That will come. But this is the reference to just know me as Bhagawaan. You don't need to worry about Brahman or Paramatma. Okay. So 5.29 is 27. Everything before 27 was pointing towards the Brahman realization. 27 and 28 are pointing to Paramatma realization of that absolute thing, whatever it is. And 29 is telling about Bhagawaan, which is the highest, which is everything. Once you have sat in the train, there is nothing more. You're like on the train. Or once you have eaten the cake, then you know that it is a vanilla cake or a strawberry, or how nice it smells. Everything is included once you eat it. So that is the highest or the complete understanding. Once you have eaten the cake, you know everything about it. By seeing it, you may not know everything about it. Maybe there's no sugar in it. It may look nice, but it may not taste very nice. Whatever. You get the point. So Bhagavan realization is the topmost, the full, not topmost. It's not like there is something remaining. It's the complete. Paramatma is less and Brahman is a little bit lesser. Okay, so that's the end of the discussion. We have completed chapter 5, plus we covered some extremely important concepts which will connect chapter 6 and also chapter 7 and onwards. Okay. And we will talk about chapter 6. And again, at the end of chapter 6, Bhagavan Krishna will say, don't worry about this. Before even he gets a chance to say, Arjuna himself will say, it's not making sense to me. So if you are still not getting a hang of it, like, okay, I've been here for like 2 months now, or January and February is ending, and what's going on? Let me tell you, Arjun is also in the same place. I've been listening to the 5 chapters and, it's been like 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, they covered 5 chapters because the whole Bhagavad Gita was covered in an hour and a half. And, anytime arrows will start flying, the 2 armies are waiting, wondering what these 2 guys are doing here. And, he's getting little, I'm still not getting it. What is Lord Krishna trying to tell me? So if you're thinking that, don't worry. Lord Krishna is waiting for that sort of Arjuna's surrender or his, okay, it's not making sense. The other reason why Lord Krishna even took Arjuna through this path, now this is very important, is for sake of completeness. Bhagavad Gita is a complete Shastra. It is the complete Shastra. It is said that if anybody wants to understand Sanatana Dharma, there is nothing called Hinduism. Hinduism was a term coined by the Muslims. When they invaded India, they said, everybody on this side of the Hind river or the Indus river, what we call as, is a Hindu. So Hindu is not even a word. You open up any of the Shastra and you search for Hindu, there will be no word Hindu in the Sanskrit. It is known as Sanatana Dharma. So in Sanatana Dharma, what was I saying? The Bhagavad Gita is a complete Shastra of the Sanatana Dharma. So Lord Krishna could not have skipped the Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga and Dhyaan Yoga aspects. Because if somebody then read the Bhagavad Gita, because the essence is Bhagavan realization. That is the most complete. So why not just give the most complete one? Then somebody would ask, what about this? What about that? What about that? So for sake of completeness, Lord Krishna is mentioning that, but he will clearly say that this is what you should do. I have told you all that, but you should do this. Okay. So that is the sort of the Shastric reason why it has been mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, all these other processes, even though they are lower or they are not recommended, especially for Kali Yuga. Dhyana Yoga or Samadhi stage is probably possible in Satyuga, but we are not in Satyuga. Far from it. There are so many distractions. In Satyuga, there was no distraction. There was no Facebook, no WhatsApp. Early morning, you get up, you think about Bhagavan. Today, early morning, you get up, you look at your WhatsApp. So nothing is there. So that then it is much more possible. There are no people who are out there to get you. There are no people biting behind the back, backbiting, none of that. So every morning you get up, you don't have to defend yourself from your aggressors. Competition, none of that thing was there. So it's much more possible to focus on Ashtanga Yoga. Kali Yuga, the Bhakti is the path, especially for Kali Yuga. But anyway, that is the Shastric reason why Lord Krishna is covering this. But also he's waiting for Arjuna to completely surrender, to understand bhakti. There is truly a level of surrender that is needed. Surrender as in like not surrender out of force, but you can say submission. I want to understand it. Let me go and understand it. Too much. It's like, everybody tells you join the gym, join the gym, join the gym. After you get a heart attack, or eat salad or this or that or that, once you get a heart attack, or once you something happens, some major shock you get, joining the gym and going to the gym becomes the easiest thing, isn't it? You might have seen in your friends. I hope none of you have had a heart attack. So in the same way, Lord Krishna is waiting for that, self. I want to do it. Nobody then has to push you to join the gym. Then you do it yourself. So that is going to happen at the end of 6th chapter, you will see. And then Lord Krishna says, okay, come on, let me tell you the real thing. Okay. All right. So that's the end for today. Questions? So we have a question in the room. And in the meantime, if there are questions on Zoom, you can raise your hands. Yes.
So I have two questions, and
1 second. Let me turn this to. So now I think you'll be audible on the Zoom as well.
So I have two questions, and I don't know if you need to answer them right now. We can discuss them the next time because we're running out of time. The two questions I have are, the one, I think the obvious questions with respect to what you do because it's your duty and not think about the results. Some obvious questions are very easy to answer, etc. But there's limited time in a day. And so the choices have to be made in terms of what to go pursue and what not to pursue. How should one decide what to pursue and not to pursue when they both, from a duty point of view, are the right things to do, but you can do only one? You have to evaluate based on results. Now, evaluation based on results versus doing it for the results or being attached to the results could be two different sentiments. But one question that I have is how should one evaluate when one can only do one of the two things? And they both, from a duty point of view, are reasonable things to do. So that's one question.
So let me answer that before I forget, because already there are thoughts forming in my mind. As one asks the question, the teacher forms thoughts what to answer. So even though you ask the second question, my thoughts will go away. So let me answer that one. Was that audible on the Zoom? Yeah, so people are saying yes.
Yes.
So just with like any other thing as to how to answer a question when you're faced with a choice, I'll dumb it down very much. In a test also, you have multiple choices, right? A multiple choice test. One answer is right, one is wrong. Let's say it's just two choices. Okay, you can have 4, 5, whatever, but let's say it's a two-choice question. One is the right answer, one is the wrong answer. How do you ace a test? By training and by practice and by studying. Okay. Similarly, in life, there is something, Bhagavad Gita is providing a lot of knowledge, but there is more body of knowledge, which is generally called as, the collective name is Dharma Shastra. So a large part of Bhagavad Gita, or the entire Bhagavad Gita, actually is Dharma Shastra. What is Dharma? How we need to conduct our lives, whether it is material Dharma or spiritual Dharma. I think the question that you are asking is about material Dharma when you're faced with two choices. Let's say, I want to join this job or that job. You're faced with two choices. Is this job better or that job better? A student is trying to decide whether to join this college or that college, or to major in this or major in that, or whatever, whether I should just, wrap up everything. My parents are getting old. They don't want to come to America. So I should leave here, go to India and live in India and make a living there, do a big move, or just, keep sending money and, somehow support them, but I continue my life here. That's a big choice people have, isn't it? So these are all choices people are faced with. And then by practice, by reading, now this you will not get by reading some management books. You may get some answers. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, or this or that, Atomic Habits, and there are all these bestsellers which may tell you how to lead or live life. But our God himself, and then his, the Nitya Siddhas have already given us the knowledge in the form of Dharma Shastra. So by understanding that, by approaching a guru, by connecting with somebody who you can place your trust in these matters, who's going to give you the answers from the vision of the Shastra, that is our guidebook, that is our light post. When you're lost in the sea, the only thing that helps you is the lighthouse. So you can get your answers. You can get the general answer from reading the Shastra, and by going to Guru, you get very specific, customized answer. Just like for your health, general answers you can get from books. But when you're faced with a specific type of problem, you go to a doctor who also has read the books, but he can use that knowledge in your specific case and give you a customized solution for you. So there is no general one but I'm telling you the process of how to resolve dilemmas in life. There's no easy answer. If anybody gives you a quick fix answer, he's probably cheating you. So that's why we must engage in understanding these Shastras, what is written in them, because they not only tell how to, go to Nirvana, what to do, or after death, we shouldn't have another, Punaravritti, but also in this life, what to do. Both things the Shastras tell. Does that give you a glimpse?
I think
Is there a follow-up?
Yeah, my takeaway from that is that it comes with practice and with more knowledge that you can spend time reading and or work with somebody who has read it, who can translate that into the specific situation
Correct.
that you may be wanting to get clarity on.
Yes. And it's not that hard. And in the previous one, once you catch up on all the videos, it's not that hard to, the example I gave is, have you ever been into jail?
To jail?
No. So we ask this question. It's a humorous or ridiculous question, which means you know how to live a legal life, isn't it? Going to jail, who goes to jail? The criminals?
Who are proven criminals.
Sure. Well, let's say the government is perfect, and no one is able to elude escape the government's eyes, let's say. Still, you can live legally. Have you read all the law books? All the law books?
Well, I don't
know.
Anybody can.
Isn't it? So it proves that without reading all the books, still you can lead a legal life. You can make decisions about what is legal, what is not legal. Otherwise, you would get in trouble and go to jail. So the point is, I'm giving you a comfort feeling. You don't have to read all the Shastras and know all the nitty-gritties to lead a dharmic life. By knowing a little bit, you can lead a perfectly legal life. And sometimes when you have a question here or there, which you are not clear about what is legal, what is not, there are attorneys, there are people, you can have a one-on-one with them. And they will tell you, yeah, this is legal, that is not legal, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I'm just trying to tell you that it's not like you have to become an expert now. Oh my God, the only way to know what to do in my life is I have to read this whole library. No, not true. With little investment, you can reach a good enough, comfortable level. All right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm following you. Thank you.
Okay. What's the second question?
My second question is that obviously Krishna was very, he had a lot of different forces pulling him in different directions. So he was nowhere close to, achieving the Brahman,
Brahma Nirvanam.
First level of
Krishna, you're saying?
No. Arjuna.
Okay.
So.
Krishna is Bhagawaan. He doesn't
Okay,
need
my
to reach.
apologies if I
Okay.
misspoke. I meant.
Okay, I was stuck there.
So the three levels of knowing
The
God,
absolute truth, whatever. Yes.
yeah, was the third one is where the God becomes the friend, and so you get the rest of essentially interacting with the God, etc., etc.
Yes.
So I'm surprised that a person like Arjun, who was not even close to achieving the first level, got to be the friend of God.
Hmm.
Why? What
What
was so
gives?
special about him and not any of us?
Yes. Very nice. So I hope you got that question. So Arjuna, so you're asking a very good question, and it is our acharyas, our gurus will tell you that Arjuna already, he was a nitya siddha person. He is not jivan mukta. So it's a nice, I can use these terms now without explaining like 50 words about it. Now that I've introduced the term, I can say pi or I. So you understand Jivana Mukta, you understand Nitya Siddha. So Arjuna is Nitya Siddha. Okay. He is an eternal associate of the Lord. He has been put into temporary illusion by Krishna himself.
Okay.
So that he can ask these questions, so that we can get the Bhagavad Gita. This is another big misconception, which I have clarified a couple of times already, that Bhagavad Gita was not meant for Arjuna only. And by the way, we are trying to tee out what's good for us in it from what he told Arjuna. Let me try to get some benefit from it. No. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita so many times, I think we already took a couple of examples where he's saying all people should do this. Nareshu, Nrishu, Sarva Manushyanam, you will see this term. So he's already talking about that humanity should do this. So Bhagavad Gita is meant for us. He is using, always God uses a medium. If you open 11.33, chapter 11, 33rd verse, Lord Krishna says, Nimitta Matra Bhava. Just become the Nimitta of my plan.
Yeah, he does say that's correct.
So he is just making Arjuna the Nimitta so that he can come and speak Bhagavad Gita. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tad atmanam srijami aham. I come and re-establish whenever the dharma is destroyed. So he is establishing dharma through Bhagavad Gita, making Arjuna a instrument in nimitta. So he is putting Arjuna into temporary illusion. And very quickly, Arjuna will be restored back to his non-illusioned state after 1.5 hours of hearing Bhagavad Gita. How many people can get transformed first time when they read Bhagavad Gita for 1.5 hours? Nobody. People say, I have read Bhagavad Gita for 20 years. I still, so it takes time. So this was a plan of the Lord. All right. Does that?
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions? I don't see any hands on Zoom. Oh, there are 10 chat items. Let's see what are these chat items. So let's see. Okay, there's some comments. That's it. I'm not going to repeat all the comments. And when I said, if you have a question in the chat, raise your hand as well. So I can at least, know that you have a question. If you can't speak or if you have a mic problem, at least I can go look at that there is something. But so raising a hand, please, let's use that protocol in the class that you will raise your hand. Can you please explain, is our higher out? I don't think you said meant out. I think is our higher self Paramatma and our highest level of consciousness realization in our heart, our Bhagawaan. Is my understanding correct? No, that is not correct. Okay. I is the Atma, which is also known as Jivatma. And there is Param Atma. Paramatma is just broken down as Paramatma, the topmost Atma. Jivatma is not equal to Paramatma. In every living being, there are two Atmas. We will cover this in detail in chapter 13. There are two Atmas. How many of you knew that before? In the body. How many of you knew there is Atma in the body? Everybody knew. How many of you knew there are two Atmas in the body? Yeah, because you're a previous student. He's a previous student, very sincere one. So his vote or his answer doesn't count in the tally. So how many of you knew there were two? The answer is there are two Atmas. There is Jivatma, and there is Paramatma. So Bhagavan, when we say, when somebody says Bhagavan is in your heart, that is correct. But it doesn't mean that Jivatma is Bhagavan. No, that is the mistake. Yes, Bhagavan is in the heart. That is because Paramatma is in the heart. But Jivatma is also in the heart, and Jivatma is not equal to Paramatma. And we will cover these topics in more detail as we go along. So I hope that answers the question. And this whole other thing about Bhagavan understanding in our heart and all is not correct. Please have patience, and we will cover it. Patience is another very good quality for spiritual understanding, for spiritual progress. Okay. Utsahat nishchayat dhairyat. Dhairya. Dhairya means patience. Tat tat karma pravartanat. Sangat tyagat sato vritte. Shadvidhir. Shadbhir bhakti prasiddhyati. So your bhakti will increase, your spiritual knowledge will increase. One of the things is dhairya. Have patience, understand, and it will all make sense. Okay, so don't jump ahead. But I will let you know when not to jump ahead. It doesn't mean you shouldn't ask questions. Ask questions. I will give a brief answer, and I will say a more detailed answer is coming. Okay, this was the last question on this one. My question is how to differentiate from Bhagavan's instructions for us to pursue in life from the ones that are coming out of our desires. I think you already answered your question. If you know they are coming out of your desires, then they are coming out of your desires. So that is one level of answer, kind of a witty answer, or kind of word jugglery. But the real answer is what I told this Prabhuji here, that through understanding, proper understanding of Shastra, the Lord is telling how to align our consciousness with Bhagavan. So whatever desires that are coming are aligned with Bhagavan. Through the Shastra, we will know that through that understanding. Again, the answer is dhairya and effort. You must put in effort. Dhairya means you cannot just say, okay, I will just sit and, a student cannot just say, oh, I will just sit and, close my eyes and let the semester pass. At the end of the semester, I will become knowledgeable. I was very patient during the whole semester. No, that's not patience. Patience means you put effort, have patience, and you will understand by the end of the semester. So that is the answer to that question. So Shastra will tell what are the instructions. Definitely Bhagavan will tell. To begin with, the simplest instruction will be to do Krishna Bhakti. And when I say Krishna Bhakti, don't get hung up on Krishna. Oh, actually, can I do Rama Bhakti? Of course. Okay, just don't do Ravana Bhakti or,
Kansa Bhakti.
Some other Bhakti, So, and the best way, the easiest way to do Krishna Bhakti, we said, since you are all attending this class, read Bhagavad Gita. That is definitely Bhakti. If you open 18th chapter, 72nd verse, 72, let me think. 70th verse. Lord Krishna will say that those who read Bhagavad Gita are doing Dhyaan Yoga. Go look at it. So if you want to do Jnana Yoga, instead of doing Jnana of Karma and of Atma, just read Bhagavad Gita, and that is the best Jnana Yoga. So what does Lord Krishna say in the 70th verse? Jnana yagya tena ham ishtah syam iti me matihi. So adhyeshayate cha ya imam dharmyam samvadayo avayo samvadam avayo. This samvad, this conversation of ours, once who reads it, is what is he doing? Jnana yagyena. He is doing Jnana yagya. So that is instruction of Krishna at the end. Read Bhagavad Gita for starters nicely. Another one is by doing Nam Jap. 15 minutes every day you can do Nam Jap. So these two instructions should suffice. If you come to next class and you say, every day I read half an hour Bhagavad Gita and 15 minutes of Nam Jap I did, 45 minutes per day, then I will consider you a sincere student who actually used the instruction. Otherwise, you're like, okay, what should I do, sir? What should I do, sir? Sir says something, and then, you ignore. Next time again, you come and say, what should I do, sir? And that's like lip service. Okay. Okay. More questions? Okay. I don't see any more questions, neither here in the room nor on the Zoom. So thank you very much for coming to Bhagavad Gita class. If you are in Portland, try to attend in person. I feel it makes more attentiveness possible. Otherwise, if you are attentive enough on Zoom, great, there's no problem. But make use of this opportunity to understand Bhagavad Gita nicely, and it will greatly help you in your this life and afterlife, both. No other knowledge can claim the latter. And no other knowledge can claim the former as good as Bhagavad Gita can claim. The 7 habits and this habits and that those other books can claim somewhat. They are good books. But they can't do it as good as Bhagavad Gita can do it. And definitely they cannot claim anything about afterwards. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.